Okay, first thing you're going to do is get your shirt and you're going to iron it. You really only need the middle part ironed because that's where you're putting your screen print. Next, you want to make sure that you put a piece of aluminum inside the shirt right in the middle to protect the underneath part from getting paint. It took a little bit of maneuvering to get it flat in there, but I got it flat. You just want to make sure it's as flat as can be. So you have to adjust the back layer, the aluminum foil, and the front. You also kind of want to put it in the middle of the shirt. When you lay your screen print down, you're not going to put your screen print in the middle because this is the only part that you're screen printing. So you want to make sure that you lay it up above a little bit. You also want to make sure that your aluminum foil is going to cover that second layer. Okay, I now have it lined up where the wood is kind of on the collar. My image that I'm screen printing is on the center. And the wood is centered on the shirt. So now let's get the paint on. So you're going to take your wood craft stick, grab some paint, and you're going to just put about the craft stick size of paint across the orange area. You don't need to put a lot on, but you need to make sure that you have enough covered to go down the screen. So when you get it on, you're going to just kind of smooth it across the top. A little paint really does go a long way. So I have about 1 inch of paint on the top. I've got it covered on each side, so when you bring the squeegee down, it covers the whole image. So that's about as much paint, 2 little globs worth. Of course, we're Girl Scouts, so we're going to save the excess, put it back in the jar, stick that over to save. So now we're going to get our squeegee. This is going to be a little bit difficult holding the video camera, but you're going to start at the top. You don't really want to put it in the middle. You want to start at the top. You're going to hold it at a 90-degree angle, I guess. You're going to want to press firm, so you're going to want both hands. And then you're going to want to pull the paint down. It doesn't need to touch the bottom, it just needs to cover the image. So you're going to take this firmly with both hands, pull it down to cover the image. So let me do my first and I will come back. Okay, so I pulled it all the way down. I have paint down there. So you want to go over it maybe 1 or 2 more times. Make sure that you have all of the white spots filled in. It doesn't need to be globbed on. You just want to make sure that the white spots are filled. So I'm going to go over it and get rid of this excess paint onto my screen. Okay, I went over it a couple of times. I went sideways, I went long ways. So now I have all this extra paint on here. I'm going to take my wood spoon or wood stick and I'm going to remove all of this extra paint and put it back into my jar. Okay, I got as much off as I can. Now I'm going to go to my screen and see how much more I can remove off of the screen onto my squeegee. And then come back over and do the same thing. Get as much paint off of that as possible. Just a trick that I wanted to show you. I put all of the paint back in from the squeegee as much as I could and from the screen. These usually don't stand up on their sides, but if you laid it down on the lid, it doesn't touch the bottom. So now I have most of the paint off of the screen. I got a little bit on this wood, not a big deal. And I'm going to carefully lift it straight up. You might want to have a friend help hold the shirt while you lift it up. Okay, so when I lifted it, it was just me, and because the paint had soaked through, which we expected it to happen, the aluminum came up just a little bit. That's okay. We want the aluminum there to protect our backside. So let's make sure. Yep, it's all there. Now, what you need to figure out is where you're going to store this, because it has to dry. So that's our image. That's the Greek flag. That's a G, S, A, Girl Scouts America, in Greek letters. So that's our final. However, you're not done yet. Once this fully dries, and I'll come back and do another video, but once this fully dries, you need to iron it to heat set. I'm going to try to iron it just a little bit, putting the iron straight on. If it melts it a little bit, then I'm going to take another piece of aluminum and put it on top and see if that helps. But it has to heat set, or if you wash this, it's just going to bleed everywhere. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. The screen will dry pretty fast. So if it's going to be maybe, I mean, I said 10 minutes on my sheet, but if it's going to be, you know, eight or more minutes, I would clean it off. And it's pretty easy to clean. I'm doing this in my kitchen sink. You just get it wet. I've provided a brush or a sponge, and you can just sponge it all off. And it comes off pretty easy. If the blue tape comes up, I'm giving you more blue tape. That tape helps protect the edges. If they start using too much paint, and it starts to go in the corners or on the edges, it seeps through on the shirt, and then you'll see a line. So you want to make sure that that tape is intact. So rinse it off. Actually, you don't even really need a sponge, but I'm going to give you one anyway. You just want to be gentle when you do it with a sponge, because it is a screen. Now, I wouldn't do this if you're going to have somebody in the same session screen print, because it does take a little bit to dry. You can see it literally just comes right off with the water. There is a slop slink closet by the bathrooms. So between sessions, it should dry pretty quick. You could put it outside, not in the sun, but you could put it outside maybe to provide a little bit more heat to dry it off. But it should dry pretty quick. And you only really need to get it off the image part.